let's start in the AFC, and let's start from the bottom.
Okay.
So my bottom 4 teams were at 13. I had the Broncos at 7-10, the Raiders at 6-11, the Colts at 2-15, and then the Texans at 2-15.
So we got 3. Okay, so we're 3 or 4 of the same.
Okay. Who did you not have?
So the one I didn't have was I didn't have the Broncos that low.
Okay.
Now the Broncos are very close here. They're just not that low.
Okay. Who did you have instead of the Broncos?
I got the Titans over here instead.
Okay, so this is a thing. So I was at originally really low on the Titans my first time through. And also, guys, if you're watching this, we will link this in the description. So yeah, like Dob said, shout out playoff predictors. Awesome. You can go through the whole season. If you click on the team on the side, it'll show you their whole season's games. And like I said, at first you may think something that we're saying is very out of body, but if you go through and do this, you'll realize how hard it is to actually pick. And you may go through it and then look at the side and be like, oh my God, how did this happen? So you said you had who? My bad.
Yeah, no. So because that's the thing is, I'm looking at it, our record prediction for the Titans are definitely. This is the first thing that's a little polarizing between us because we got a 4-game difference between us on the Titans.
Yeah. I had the Titans at number 10 at 10-7.
And so I'm at 13 at 6-11.
Okay.
So all right, so I'll tell you, this is a good discourse right here. Now we'll get started with the Titans here. So let me just pull up exactly. I'm gonna get their lineup right in front of me, but I'll tell you right off the top of my head. The thing that comes to my mind with the Titans is the word regression, right? So when I think of the Titans, I think, okay, regressing. But they're in that situation also, and let me be clear, they're kind of regressing to, in my opinion, progress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the regression's got to happen, but they're counting and they're banking on the young QBs developing behind Tannehill, and then that window comes in to slide them in whenever that is going to be, whenever they plan on doing that. You have a great head coach in Vrabel. So let me be clear. The floor is definitely still very high, and there's definitely not in a terrible position for being a, in my opinion, quote unquote, bad team. Because then obviously here you have Hunter who doesn't even think they're going to be a bad team. But then, like we said, the positives. Okay, the D line looks awesome. You have a top 5 D line. When they come out in 5, in like the 3-4, and they're rushing you for real, that's gonna be a really hard rush to stop. O-line a little bit volatile though. Receiving core, like we said, you got D-Hop. Besides that, rather thin. But then you got King Henry, still counting on Tannehill, a great young tight end in Okonkwo. It's like, realistically, and Kevin Byard's still at the center of the defense, regardless how you want to look at it. I mean, the Titans are a very solid team.
Yeah. So here's where I think I get my wins from, okay? They play the Texans twice. I have the Texans being one of the worst teams in the NFL. So I think they grab 2 wins there. I think they also sweep the Colts, so that's 4 wins. And then I think they split one with Jacksonville. So we're at around 5, okay? But they also play the NFC South, which is a very weak division. So I think the Saints beat them week 1. And then I have them losing to the Falcons, but I do see them beating the Bucks and the Panthers. So they should be around, what is that? Not 9 wins? No, 8 wins. So yeah, and then I have them actually beating the Browns week 3. I think that'll be a scrappy game. So yeah, I just see them like they're one of those teams that could just sneak out a win. Like I could see them beating the Dolphins in week 14. Like it's possible. It's possible.
Those are the 2 games, literally the ones you said, bro. The Browns and the Dolphins were standing out very much.
Yeah.
They could steal them. And if they did in this case, they would be, they'd be 8-9. It'd be a huge difference.
So another thing I really thought about is D lines versus O lines. Okay. I don't know. Teron Armstead should be back and by then, but like the Dolphins O line is really weak in my opinion, and the Titans have a scary D line and they play very, very physical, and the Browns do have a good O line. I just think it's one of those things where it's still early with Deshaun and they're still getting in the flow of things. And I feel bad for any AFC North team just because they got to go through a gauntlet this year.
Yeah,
but,
they do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Titans are a team. Sadly, though, in the AFC, 10-7 is not enough to make the playoffs.
That is crazy. Yeah, your AFC is very top heavy over there.
Oh, yeah. No. So I have a lot of teams, and we'll discuss that later. But, yeah, no, I really like the Titans. I don't think their offense is as bad as a lot of people think. I think D-Hop... Now, let me get this wrong. Me and Dobbs were talking about this before the show. So we never did like this record prediction before today. And we're higher on some teams and like lower on some teams than we thought. But like going through this is like the reality of it. This is the reality if these teams are healthy of like what they're going to be facing. So Yeah, no, I think the Titans are one of those teams that are definitely up in the air. I think Tannehill can bounce back. Their defense is good. Vrabel's a great coach. So I think the Titans are either going to surprise a lot of people and still miss the playoffs, or this may be that year where they're like, all right, it's Levis time.
No, absolutely, bro. That's very true. That is very true.
Okay. So,
Yeah, the Titans are weird.
So where did you have the Broncos then?
So I had the Broncos at 11.
Okay. So we'll do the next four. So I had the Patriots, or I had the Steelers at number 9. I had them at 10-7. I had the Titans at 10-7 at 10, the Browns at 8 and 9 at 11, and then the Patriots at 8 and 9 at 12.
Okay. See, my next few are definitely really interesting here.
Oh, you know what? Let me do 8 too. So 8, I had 11 and 6, the Chargers, and then we'll move into the playoffs.
That's what I was thinking. Oh yeah, so when we'll just add all the teams. Okay, yeah. So then my next 5 here coming up, the next 5 that are under, like you said, not making the playoffs. I got the Patriots here at 6 and 11.
Okay.
Like I said, that's just
yeah.
feels ridiculously weird. I wanted to be sneaking them somewhere around 500 territory, but I'm like you said, it just
you can't, man. Not with the AFC East.
Yeah, I would say absolutely not. I would be stealing wins away from other teams, and then I would be making one of these my top heavy teams, towards a wild card when they don't deserve to be.
Yeah,
I can't be picking and choosing. I got to go with what feels right. And to be honest, what felt right when I was doing this was Patriots rounded out 6 and 11, bro, which is crazy. Then above that, Broncos at 7 and 10. Same situation though. Felt very crazy. I hate to be doing my dude Sean Payton like that, right? That felt wrong.
Yeah.
But again, the reality situation is, especially in the Broncos case with their division, everything going on over there, they need some time, I think, to build a few more things.
Yeah.
Get used to what's going to be going on down there with the Sean Payton offense. But I think you're going to see a good transition year versus the garbage going on last year, regardless.
I think it's a culture setting year for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I just think it's going to be like imagine the Vikings last year, except if they lost most of their close games instead of winning them. I think that's like kind of how the Broncos will be in a sense. You know what I mean? Like good close fighting.
I would feel a little bit more confident in that coaching, like that culture though. With the Broncos,
for sure.
I know what you're saying.
That's why I think I could sneak them a few more ones, but they're going to be there in a few years. And then we got the Steelers at 7 and 10. Like we were saying, the Steelers one of those teams we were kind of gassing towards. I
have them at 10 and 7.
Like I was gassing them towards that 500 range, and I was like, it just didn't feel right. I'm sorry. Somehow, bro, I don't know. I just couldn't find a way to sneak in a few more of them. I gave them all the wins I felt they're going to get. I didn't really feel like I had too many upsets going on. I just think the Steelers, unfortunately, one of those teams that get outmatched a lot of weeks. They have a very tough schedule. So yeah, and I'm sorry, Steelers fans, 7 and 10. We're making a jump here though. At number 9. Straight to 10 and 7 with the Chargers.
Okay.
Still missing the playoffs though.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But like,
okay.
The $260 man, whatever the deal was, not making the playoffs. But the situation looks like, especially with Staley over there still. I'm sorry, Chargers fans. You guys know how I feel. I don't know. I couldn't do it compared to the other teams, the other coaching staffs in the AFC. It just doesn't seem right. And then, man, my boy Mac McDaniels too, missing the playoffs right here at 10 and 7 with the Dolphins. Just felt wrong. But again, everything about the AFC just felt so wrong this year. This record prediction is hard to do. You don't judge us until you get in this fucking website yourself and get to doing the hard stuff. I promise you, it's not going to go how you thought it was.
Okay, yeah. So, what team do you want to talk about? Let's pick a team to talk about here.
Chargers missing the offs.
Chargers, Steelers, or Browns? What do you want to do?
See, I feel like we've done a fair amount of Chargers discourse recently.
Let's do Steelers.
So yeah, maybe let's cut the Chargers out. And yeah, I feel like the Browns we've done a few. So let's do the Steelers.
Okay. So I got them at 10 and 7. I actually think a lot of people are arguing that the AFC East might be the most competitive division. I'm willing to argue that the AFC North is. All 4 of those teams should be in the playoffs. All 4 of them. It's not going to happen because in mine, the last team making the playoffs is 12 and 5. 12 and 5. So anyway, here's where I see the Steelers winning. I actually... And don't get mad, 49ers fans, because I have you at the 13 and 4. But I think the Steelers can steal the home opener. I think the 49ers get hot later in their years.
Where do you think they're going to steal it?
I think they can steal it. They're not the home opener, week 1. Well, they are.
What is
the home opener for them? I actually have them losing to the Raiders. But yeah, I mean, it's just the AFC North is a brutal division. Brutal. All 4 of those teams should be in the playoffs. And then Who do they what division do they play? Let me see. Oh, I think they play the AFC South, right? Yeah, they play the AFC South. So they got the Titans who they beat, the Texans who they beat, the Colts who they beat. It's really just about scheduling, guys. Like that really determines like a huge part of the win-loss record. And they play the Cardinals. Like anytime you play the Cardinals, it's a free win.
No, absolutely. See, my thing is though, so I had a few interesting things happening.
Okay.
Whereas in my case, I had the Titans stealing the game against the
See, I could see that.
against the Steelers.
That's going to be one of the best games of the year, or just very boring.
No, yeah, well, it's definitely going to be nowhere in between. And then I had, who did I have stealing games against? Let me take a look here. I had the Packers stealing a game against them too. I feel like that's probably one you didn't have.
Yeah.
So and then there you go with that one. And then the other one where I had was, then I just didn't have them stealing week 1. So that's the difference between you and me for the Steelers, which is nothing crazy. Like you said, they're two very easy swings where it's like, you can definitely see it happening. So
yeah,
it's no disrespect. It's just like you said, AFC North. Oh my God. I'm with you on it. I think it is the most competitive division. I agree completely. Whereas like we said with the West,
yeah,
there's maybe a bit of a drop off between they're competitive, but then we know the Chiefs are the top heavy one, and then it kind of dwindles a little bit. With AFC North, it's like no, these guys all really are like basic. Well, I don't want to say it with the Bengals.
I think the Bengals are top tier, but I also think that also changes depending on how long Joe Burrow's injury is.
That's what I was trying to say. Is I didn't have the words for it, but so then when you know that exactly that they're not going to be healthy basically the whole year, it evens out.
I also want to say this. Don't be surprised if the Ravens have a better record than the Bengals this year.
I had one.
I'm super high on the Ravens this year. And
Ravens
also,
culture going on.
If you look at the Ravens, we'll get to them when we talk about the playoffs. When you look at the Ravens' schedule, it's kind of easy. It's fairly easy. It's fairly easy.
I remember I was gonna look at the record. And I was like, oh, I bet it's gonna be like what 9-8, 10-7. I was like, I mean, I guess I really kind of spoiled what it's gonna be now.
Yeah,
kind of. Maybe no, I didn't. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it was higher than that. It was I was like, whoa.
Okay, so let's finish up the Steelers, and we'll get to the AFC playoffs. What is your opinion on? Do you think this team flies or dies by Kenny Pickett?
This year's gonna
let's say their defense stays healthy.
See, the thing is, I actually can't even give you an answer to that yet. I'll give you the answer best answer I can give you right now.
Okay.
Though. What I saw last year was definitely a guy who hung in the pocket in big moments, delivered accurate balls in big moments, and he made the clutch the best time for him. If he can do that in all 4 quarters, I actually like Kenny Pickett could be a really good quarterback in the league. He hasn't showed me that yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to use next year as how I'm going to view him.
Yeah.
I can't form an honest opinion yet. He showed me a lot of good intangible in college. He showed us a lot of good intangible last year, just not consistently. If he can put it together consistently, I'll say, Kenny Pickett can be a starter for a long time in this league for the Steelers. If not, it'll be a volatile situation where it's like, bro, I always have those. You know what my alarm is for? It's to post the talk too. It's literally to get the content going for the gang. I'm sorry, gang. But back to my rant. I'll cut there. I'm sorry. Where was I at?
No worries.
What was the
basically? Does the Steelers fly or die?
There we go. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry. I completely lost my train of thought. All right. Let me turn off my other one at 6:55 too, real quick, and then I will go back because then just in case that goes off in the middle of recording.
Oh, you're good. No, but yeah, I'll just answer this in my opinion. I think he is the biggest determining factor on if the Steelers succeed because I think their rushing game will be good. I think their defense will be good. If he can get the ball to his players and play at an elevated game manager, like I consider Kirk Cousins an elevated game manager because he's better than the typical guy, but he's not gonna, in my opinion, level guys up. He's gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna play with his talent. He's gonna do the best of his abilities. Kenny Pickett to me can be that guy. Maybe a little bit more clutch, but I just think that their offense and their team is really gonna determine on if he can move the ball through the air.
No, for sure. And I think they're gonna try to get him moving a little bit more too. He, like I said, he has a weird intangible ability where he throws the ball in the run really well for his size and stuff. Well. I feel like they're gonna use that a little bit more this year. He's he's an interesting quarterback.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look like he would fit the skill set he necessarily has, but he can throw on the run. He can move around for sure. Interesting quarterback.
All right. So let's move on to the AFC top 7. These are playoff teams, in our opinion. So, Dobbs, let's go. up from 7. I'll say my team, you say your team. Miami Dolphins at 7 at 12-5.
Buffalo Bills at 7 at 11-6.
Ooh, I have Buffalo Bills at 6 at 12-5.
Ooh, I got the Ravens at 6 at 11-6.
I have number 5, the Bengals at 12-5.
Ooh, I got the Browns right here at 11-6.
Okay, I had the Browns missing the playoffs at 8-9. So number 4, I have, mind you, in case you don't know how seeding works, these are only the division winners. So if you're in the top 4, that means you won your division.
A lot of people seem to
don't understand this rule for whatever reason. At number 4, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 12-5.
We agreed on this one. I just had them at 11-6.
Okay. At number 3, I have the Ravens winning their division at 12-5.
Got the Bengals right here at 12-5.
No surprise, I have the Chiefs winning their division at 13-4. They're the number 2 seed.
Yo, this is crazy. We interchanged, though. I had the Jets right here at 12-5.
Okay, I have the Jets winning their division at 13-4.
And then, I had the Chiefs at 14-3 winning the conference by a healthy 2 games.
So the only team that is different for us is the Browns making the playoffs instead of, you have the Browns instead of the Dolphins, right?
Yes, I had the Dolphins out by literally a game too. So
okay, gotcha. So that's the only team that switched out for playoffs, right?
yeah, great minds think alike.
Okay. So what would you say? I honestly think this could be some of the greatest AFC playoffs we've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it's weird feelings about this year's AFC playoffs. Weird feelings, right? Because again, we know the Chiefs are undoubtedly like the favorite because of Mahomes and they're the Chiefs. They have the allure. They got Andy Reid, but
they're a top 4 seed no matter what.
Sure, but this is where I was going to take this. Is you're thinking the same thing as me for sure? I didn't know if we were, but now it's clear we are.
Okay.
Something about the Jets feels different now that A-Rod's there. And it's not that they could even I'm not even saying they could take the AFC this year, but I'm not saying they couldn't. We know they could. What the fuck? We know this. So it's like, man, the Jets are going to be sneaky.
So,
but even though they're not, they're kind of been loud now. But
I actually have them starting at 3-3 before the bye. I think they pick it up right after the bye, and the only game they lose after their bye is that Dolphins game.
See, that's funny though, because you know what? I actually end up going 5-0 off the gate.
Okay.
I see what you mean though. Where I definitely could have been.
I think they're a team that's going to take a minute to gel with Rodgers. So, but to have them still around like a 1 game difference, the only reason they're ahead of the Chiefs is because they're 10-2 in their conference. I have the Chiefs at 9-3 in the conference. So, I think the Jets can win it this year. I think they can win it next year if they run it back with the same team. Their D-line is disgusting. So another reason I had them winning a lot of these games is because, and I split one with the Dolphins. I just think their D-line is going to destroy the Dolphins O-line. Not convinced they're going to be able to hold down their receivers. The Jets have DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, great secondary. Sometimes I just feel like you can't contain them, and it's that AFC East rivalry. I just think you're going to split one.
No, for sure. That offense is so explosive, it doesn't really matter. You could have 2 all-pros in front of them, which, like, in a sense, the Dolphins technically have, even though they haven't been all-pros the same year. You get my point. So it's like, it's just good luck.
So why do you have the Browns in? Why do you think the Browns will be? Because that's a crazy thing. That's a crazy thing to expect. I mean, not saying I don't think it can happen, but having the Dolphins outside of the playoffs and having the Browns inside, it's kind of crazy. So why do you think they're going to have a great season?
It is, but then I feel like we say, when you look at how well the Browns are built as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the Dolphins are more fun and explosive per se.
The Browns clearly have a better team.
Like the all-around team is going to the Browns for me. And like, my thing comes down to, I think I'm much higher on how Deshaun's going to play. I feel like than a lot of people.
Okay.
Because again, this is one of those statements nowadays where people kind of like, to the point of how a lot of people feel about Deshaun at this point. A lot of people don't even want to hear this. It's kind of like people are going to tune it out because, they don't like Deshaun anymore. But my thing is, like, before Deshaun got injured, Deshaun was a top 3 quarterback in the league, top 5, easily quarterback in the league, where I'm talking like this dude's talent was on par with anybody else. And he wasn't at Mahomes level, but he was swinging with Mahomes. You know what I mean? Like, he would go in there and swing with Mahomes. He showed it before. He's done it. So the point is, like, And he just didn't have the team around him like Mahomes had. I feel like kind of is how I looked at a lot of these games that they would, literally even the playoff game, for example, where they went up the big lead. Yeah, they choked terribly. But also because I think that's kind of replicating of how much better the Chiefs are than
Yeah.
you my point. We know Deshaun Watson can hoop. If Deshaun Watson comes back and stays hooping, I think that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And also to answer the question in a direct sense of like what we probably had different. I had them upsetting the 49ers. I had what else was a big one that I feel like you probably maybe didn't have? You probably had the Bears beating them. Maybe I had
No,
them
I
beating.
didn't.
Okay, I had them beating the Bears. And then I had them splitting. I think every division game was probably a big thing too.
I actually had a surprising one. I had the Broncos taking their game in week 12. I think that's a game where it's like I think the Browns are still a little chaotic. And I think the Broncos will be honed in this season.
No,
so
that's true.
I think that togetherness will win.
And then the Titans one is also the one we had different too.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. It's gonna be a really interesting year. I had them losing to the Niners though.
Yeah, see,
I had the Jags beating them as well.
Don't get me wrong, the Niners could totally beat them.
Yeah.
But in this simulation, the Browns are a playoff team, so we'll see if I was right or wrong.
So want to know a crazy stat?
Let's hear
The
it.
last time the Cleveland Browns had a positive point differential was 2007. And that was the last time they finished the highest of second in their division. They have not finished higher than second since 2007. Even when they are 11-5, they're third, which is crazy. So yeah,
It's actually enough to make me sick to my stomach. And obviously I have no affiliation with the Browns.
oh yeah, it's actually disgusting. So just to say this, before we move on to the NFC, the AFC is so loaded, and there's going to be some really good football teams that miss the playoffs, really good quarterbacks that miss the playoffs. I truly believe if you're not 11-6 or 12-5, like you're not making the playoffs. And the Bills being 12-5 and being the 6th seed, the Bengals being 12-5 and being the 5th seed, disgusting.
Disgusting.